Much has been said about Project 2025's plan to dismantle civil rights and overhaul the justice system, but it also includes a detailed strategy for completely gutting environmental and climate regulations. The Heritage Foundation, which is the conservative think tank that produced this blueprint for another Trump term, receives funding from fossil fuel interests, and it calls for a, quote, review of all federal science agencies, end quote. Project 2025 states, quote, the Biden administration's climate fanaticism will need a whole of government unwinding. During Trump's first term, hundreds of scientists were sidelined or pushed out of their government jobs thanks to policies that diminished the role of science. Remember COVID? Project 2025 would do this on steroids. Many of its sections addressing climate and environmental policy were in fact authored by oil and gas industry representatives. If you recall, it was recently revealed by the Washington Post that Trump arranged a private dinner with oil industry executives, asking them to donate $1 billion to his campaign, in exchange for which he would reverse Biden's climate policies, and offered other kickbacks. So what might these kickbacks look like? Project 2025 lays them out in specific and chilling detail. A key aspect of Project 2025's plan is using a cost-benefit analysis to determine if EPA regulation should stay or go, essentially treating climate science like a series of business transactions. Why is this problematic? Because any good scientist will tell you that you cannot apply a business lens that prioritizes the bottom line over public safety to climate research. Trying to quantify the long-term effects of environmental pollution is challenging, and that's precisely the point. Cost-benefit analysis demands hard numbers, but Project 2025 is going to make it more difficult to obtain those hard numbers by exempting certain companies from reporting this data and banning certain data from being used. By limiting the raw data, any cost-benefit analysis becomes an exercise in futility. James Goodwin, policy director at the Center for Progressive Reform, compares it to two blades of a scissor. Those cost-benefit analysis rules are demanding more information, but the other blade is making it harder for EPA to get that information in the first place. And you can see how they come together. In addition to embracing a cost-benefit framework to climate change, Project 2025 seeks to shutter the law enforcement wing of the EPA's Office of Water, which pursues penalties against companies that pollute. Withdraw from the international climate agreements, including the Paris Climate Agreement, which Trump already did, a decision that was reversed by Joe Biden. Remove climate policies from foreign aid programs like USAID. Specifically, Project 2025 warns USAID to, quote, cease its war on fossil fuels in the developing world and stop advocating for climate fanaticism, and to eliminate federal restrictions on fossil fuel drilling on public lands. It also wants to block wind and solar power from being added to the electrical grid. It wants to reconsider the designation of toxic substances, which would weaken public health regulations. It would privatize the National Weather Service, which serves as the main point of contact in weather crises, alerting the public when forecasts turn dangerous, and dissolve the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. NOAA, of course, is a key agency for tracking climate change over time due to its extensive data repository. Scientists from all over the world rely on NOAA data. Project 2025 refers to NOAA as one of the main drivers of the climate change alarm industry. The climate change alarm industry. Consider this. Project 2025 frequently cites the need for transparency to justify its sweeping proposals, which include replacing scientists in senior ranks with Trump political appointees. This makes the proposal to shield the public from NOAA's vast data tracking particularly revealing and ironic. Transparency indeed, unless it undercuts big oil's interests. After a quick break, I'm joined by Governor Gov Inslee of Washington, who's fought for climate policies for his entire political career. Before the break, I told you about Project 2025's plans to dismantle federal science agencies and climate protections. Joining me now to discuss what's at stake is the governor of Washington, Gov Inslee. He previously served as a regional director for the Health and Human Services Department under the Clinton administration. He's also the co-author of Apollo's Fire, Igniting America's Clean Energy Economy. Governor, thank you for joining us. I really wanted to talk to you about this because Project 2025 saves some of its most caustic language and some of its greatest vitriol for those who would like to fight climate change. I mean, it describes fighting global warming as an extremist, radical agenda and says very clearly what it's going to do. I think it's one of the most dangerous parts of this document.
Very much so. And I take this personally, this assault on my state, an assault on our families. My state's on fire today because of climate change. This is personal. I flew over my state last week, and there's fires right, left, center, all over the state. And here's a guy, by the way, we should not be surprised by Project 25. It's who Donald Trump is. A guy who says climate change is a hoax, a guy who's so ignorant that he says wind turbines cause cancer. Of course he's going to have a Project 25. And now he's running away from it. He says, well, I have nothing to do with it. Look, he has nothing to do with Project 25, like he had nothing to do with January 6th. And we know that we're getting hurt today because of this pollutants. And this thing, by the way, you know, we use the term gut, and it does gut it, but it's worse than that. It's kind of a laser-like organ by organ removal. They didn't slash it open with a samurai sword. They went in and removed every organ that actually keeps our rules protecting Americans from this harm, and totally eliminated and removed these whole offices doing this work. So I don't think you can overstate how damaging this project is or this candidate.
You know, one of the things interesting about it is Project 2025 suggests transferring many federal environmental regulatory duties to state officials. Now, we saw how this worked with Roe v. Wade. Talk to me about this piecemeal approach. You and I have discussed the fact that fighting climate has got to be an all of government at every level approach. We're actually talking about making it the opposite of that.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't go into a boxing ring with just one arm tied behind your back. And under this situation, first off, it would eliminate the enormous financial ability to help fight climate change and protect us against pollutants. And yes, there would be some states like mine that would do all we could do to try to reduce these pollutants and protect us. But, you know, half the country would be rendered totally unprotected. I mean, unprotected. Look, this would turn the EPA into the, you know, every pollutant allowed federal agency, because it would essentially eliminate their ability to classify these toxics getting into our water, actually even identify them. I mean, who goes to Aaron Brockovich movie and roots for the polluting utility company? Now, that's Donald Trump. Because basically this would give free rein across the United States, independent of any federal regulation. Look, we can't do all the good work federal work can because of their financial implications. And obviously we're a national economy. We should have national rules in this regard. Now, it is climate change. And by the way, climate change actually means people's lives. We're losing people's lives today because of these pollutants. You know, there's 12 communities in my state. We did some research, my Department of Health, that has premature death, 2.5 years average premature death because of these pollutants, that Donald Trump would give them a free pass. It would eliminate our ability to move forward with more efficient vehicles. It would eliminate our ability to electrify our transportation fleet. By the way, I'm really happy we have a really solid, common sense, efficient leader, as Kamala Harris, on this too. She was out here when we were getting our kids electric school buses, so the kids don't have to breathe diesel smoke. She's very excited about that. I'm excited about it. We're going to have a great president to go the opposite direction, which is to protect American families. That's what a government is supposed to do.
Governor Inslee, good to talk to you as always. Thank you for making time for us. Governor Jay Inslee of Washington is the co-author of Apollo's Fire, Igniting America's Clean Energy Economy.